MBA Spotlight. This is our first virtual MBA fair hosted by GMAC Club. We have top MBA programs coming in every single day talking about their programs. We also have admission consulting partners weighing in on your profiles. And we also have current students talking about their MBA experiences. So this session is special because it's Soojin and Michigan Ross, and from where I just graduated from. So Soojin, why don't you take it away?
Thanks, Jovik. My name is Soojin Kwon. I'm the managing director for the full-time MBA Admissions and Program. I'm also an alum of the Michigan Ross MBA program from decades ago, but it is a school that is near and dear to my heart for so many reasons, and I'm really excited to talk to all of you about what Michigan Ross has to offer incoming MBA students. Next slide. So first I wanted to introduce our team. These are the real humans of the Michigan Ross Admissions Committee. These are the associate directors, the director, and our assistant directors who you'll be interacting with throughout the recruiting process. They're the ones who are going to be doing webinars, chats, reading your apps, setting up your interviews, and all of those good things. And we look happy in the picture because we really are quite a great team. We enjoy working together. We enjoy our community. We enjoy working with our students, even after we've admitted them throughout their 2 years and beyond as alumni. So we are folks who do this for the love of the job. It's certainly not for the money, and we can't wait to get to meet all of you. Next slide. So this is the class profile for the class that is, they're the MBA 2s now. They started this past year. Our class size was 422. You see the stats on there. The things that we're excited about is the diversity of our class. And we're still in the process of admitting for the class of 2022. We added an extended deadline for round 3 this year. And so we are still in the process of interviewing. Shovik did some interviews, in fact, for us, and trying to put together the best class possible. Despite all of the things that are going on in the world, we're still very excited about the applications that we're reading now and all the people who've already said yes to us so far. Next slide. So I wanted to touch on the key differentiators of Michigan Ross. If you go to any school's website, they're all going to look and sound fairly similar. And how do you distinguish between them? I mean, the reality is it's minuscule, the differences across programs. Even when you look at the rankings, there's an ordinal ranking, but the differences between them are quite small. It's for the sake of rankings that they get to put a number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 on them. But the differences in career outcomes or other things, they're really quite small. It's at the margins. And so it's really important to understand how schools position themselves, how we think that we're different, and how the things that we give you. So these are the top 4 things that I want to share with you. We are the school if you want to learn by doing. Hands-on learning is how we want to teach our MBA students how to learn how to do management and leadership and business. It's woven throughout our entire 2 years. Lots of things are opt-in a variety of areas, but you'll get to not just sit in a classroom and read a case and discuss it with your classmates and your professor. You'll actually get to work with many companies, manage real money, get to start up businesses with money from the school. All of these things that you may want to do in real life, you'll get to do in real life as a student with support, with advisors, faculty advisors, with real money that will give you to do all of those things. So it's the best of all worlds. You get to learn and you get to do. We're also really excited that we are one of only 2 schools that have 10 specializations ranked in the top 10. The only other school that has 10 specializations ranked in the top 10, Stanford. We're also really excited that we have more than 100 top 10 ranked graduate programs. So for any of you who might want to do a dual degree or to take classes at another graduate school on campus, it could be at the School of Engineering, School of Public Policy, the law school, School of Information, Education, Public Health. So many options for you to expand your learning beyond just business if you were interested in learning other things as well. We're also very proud of being ranked #1 in alumni effectiveness in The Economist. And what alumni effectiveness is about is how engaged a school's alumni are in mentoring and helping with job searches for students. The other school that was tied for first with us, Stanford. So I'm really excited that we're in good company for so many of these things that are core to who we are. Next slide, please. So if you've done any research on Ross, you've probably run across something called MAP. It stands for Multidisciplinary Action Project. It's a mouthful. We call it MAP. Really, it's a team-based consulting project that you will do at the end of your first year. 7 weeks, full-time, no other classes. It really is a consulting engagement where you will work with a sponsor who has a business challenge, and you get to rank which sponsor, which project that you want to work on. What I'm excited about this year is that students generally got their #2 ranked project. Out of a list of 100, they ranked 15. And on average, students got their second ranked project. What that means is, #1, our MAP office is doing a great job of finding projects that students are interested in. And #2, they're also doing a great job of matching students to their highly ranked projects using the algorithm that doesn't just take into consideration the ranking, but also trying to create diverse teams with experience and opportunities for learning. So MAP taking place at the end of first year, that means it started in March. Everybody knows what happened this March. The world went into shutdown because of the pandemic. And so that really changed what MAP looked like this year. All companies were not traveling. None of us are traveling. So the projects had to be virtual. And what we were really excited about was that the feedback from students and sponsors was really quite good. Their satisfaction levels with the experience was high. For sponsors, they said that what was most notable was the quality of the teams and that the output was really solid. And for the students themselves, they were equally excited about the sponsors as well as their teammates and the projects that they got to have. Wanted to mention a few of them. Projects range from a team of students helping Google develop a COVID response. Students worked with American Express on their brand purpose, defining what it is and how to operationalize it within their entire organization. Students did a project with Bank of America, helping them use artificial intelligence to interpret customer feedback. And then another project with Uber Eats in Latin America and how they could partner with CPG companies in that area to deliver goods. So quite a range. Sponsors were happy, students were happy, despite it being remote. We're hoping, anticipating that the world will be safe again to travel, and that next March, that students will get to travel to their sponsor locations. But regardless, students had a great experience, had substantive projects, and they learned to work virtually like all of us are doing right now. Next. So I talked about hands-on learning, experience-driven learning. Wanted to mention a few of the things that are signatures to the Ross experience. The Living Business Leadership Experience puts second-year students in companies in a business unit to help them operationalize some of their strategies. They have a seat at the table with the C-suite. They get to help make decisions. They may start a new business unit, start up a new product, and they're doing this under the advisement of both faculty and alumni within the company who are the executives who are sponsoring these. So students have done it for a semester, they could do it for longer, and some of our students have even gone on to work for these companies full-time afterwards because they had a great experience and the sponsors thought very highly of them as well. Our student-led investment funds, we have more student-led investment funds than any other business school, and students get to manage $10 million in real money. They get firsthand experience in investing and managing portfolios. And Ross was the first school to have an investment fund focused on social enterprise. we're also excited that last year, a new investment fund was created, an international investment fund that focuses on small and medium enterprises. And for the first 2 years, it'll be focused on SMEs in India. Some of you may have read about or heard about the Leadership Crisis Challenge. This is really exciting. It's a simulation where student teams play the roles of the C-suite of a company that's facing a major crisis. And they have to come up with a solution and explain their solution to a mock board of directors, which is comprised of Ross alums and executives. They have to explain how they're going to go to the media and explain what they're going to do. The finalist teams then go on to a mock press conference, and then they have bright lights on them, and they're being grilled by real-life journalists who are at the University of Michigan on fellowship, but they are playing the role of journalists who are grilling them about the crisis and why it happened and what the company is going to do about it. So this past year, the crisis that they had to solve was an autonomous vehicle company had one of their driverless vehicles on the road and then crashed into a bicyclist. What does the company do? So the students had less than 24 hours to figure out, how do we address this challenge? What is the company going to do? How is it going to impact our brand? And how are we going to talk about it? So it's a simulation of how to deal with a crisis using real life crises as examples. And then the final thing that I wanted to share is about Ross Open Road, which takes place after the classes are done in the first year. In the month of May, teams of students drive across the United States and spend 4 weeks helping small businesses with their business challenges. They may not have the resources to hire a consultant, so these teams of students work with these small businesses to help them set up accounting systems, with their marketing strategy, with their supply chain, helping them be either more efficient or more strategic. So it's hands-on experience again. And this experience is totally student planned, student led. They identify the companies around the country that they want to target, and they'll spend a week with each company over the course of 4 weeks in the summer. And then they go on to do their real internships in June. So students are getting almost 3 internship experiences by virtue of doing a 7-week MAP project, a 4-week Ross Open Road, and then their internships that are standard that every business school has. Next slide, please. So one of the reasons that students come to business school is that they want great jobs. They want to have their pick of geographies, industries, companies, and that's something that Ross can offer. Like every other top-ranked business school, students are going everywhere. More than 2/3 of them ended up at the cities that you see there. Chicago, New York, Seattle, San Francisco. Others are Boston, DC, LA, Minneapolis, where some of the CPG firms are. The vast majority of our students go into tech and consulting, and then some also go into finance and marketing and supply chain. You see the average starting salary there. And the other thing that's unique to Ross, I believe, is that the vast majority of our students are career changers. They come in having experience in one industry or function. They leave doing some other industry or function. I say that I believe we're the highest career changing school because I haven't seen any other school cite a statistic around it. So there you have it. Next. Other things that we're excited about, if you haven't heard about our Impact Studio, is a new physical space where teams of students from across the university, graduate students, work on a project that is impact related, using design thinking and research of our faculty. So in its first year, students focused on how to deal with the Flint water crisis, where there was lead in the pipes. And they leveraged one of our marketing professors' research, where he developed an algorithm to identify which houses actually had lead poisoning so that the right houses would be targeted for remediation. And then the students worked on how do we get the city of Flint to trust the algorithm? How do we get them to trust government so that these changes, these remediation efforts could be implemented? This past year, students started working on a fintech project around financial inclusion and how do we get the underbanked, the people who don't have access to banks, to be able to have access to resources. This year, the focus is going to be on COVID-related challenges, very timely, using design thinking and research. This coming year, we are going to launch our new STEM designated specialization. Through that, students can focus on a broad range, actually, of functions. It's not limited to just analytics and quant, but courses that have analytics and quant in them that span marketing, finance, entrepreneurship, human capital. All of those things can have an element of quantitative analysis in it. And so there are a variety of electives that students can take actually starting in their first year. And then this past year, one of our donors funded a new healthcare scholarship where students not only get the scholarship, but they are also matched with a mentor who works in the healthcare industry. And then they also get additional resources to attend conferences related to healthcare, case competitions, and other things. And they are part of a cohort of healthcare-focused students. And a lot of them have, as rising MBA2s, become the leaders of our healthcare and life sciences club. Next. You want to be part of a great alumni network. I mentioned earlier that we were ranked #1 in alumni effectiveness. There are a couple reasons for this. One is about the sheer size of the Ross and the Michigan Alumni Network. So Ross has about 50, 60,000 alums in and of itself, but Ross alums are part of the broader University of Michigan Alumni Network, which is 500,000 people strong in over 100 countries. And the more notable thing than the size is how passionate Michigan alums are to be part of this family, to be part of this community. And so when you email or call a Ross or Michigan alum, you're more likely to get a response from them quickly than from any other school. And I challenge you to give that a try, reaching out to members of our student ambassador community, students that just graduated, alumni that you may know. We are really proud and passionate of being a part of the Michigan community. And so we are excited to share our passion with other people who may be interested. That's going to help you in getting jobs, not just right after you graduate, but throughout your career. The other thing that's unique to Ross is that we have a program called Alumni Advantage. And that's a program where for your life, you can have access to free executive education courses at Michigan Ross that are open enrollment. And so if you want to brush up on something, you can come do that as an alum for free. Next slide. A few things about our Ross application. We require only one rec letter plus a common rec form. We have 2 short essays from which there are 6 questions that you can choose from. You answer 2 of them. They're 100 words each, plus a short career goal essay because we want to know why you want to get an MBA. We have 4 application rounds in this upcoming year. And new for this year, we're going to accept not just the GMAT and GRE, but also the LSAT and the MCAT for lawyers and doctors. Next slide. So what you can do next, if you're interested in Ross, register for an upcoming webinar. We've got a lot of them. You can also tune into some of the ones that we've done previously, the recordings of them. We've got them on every career track, our centers and institutes, on wellness, on different aspects of the student experience. And these webinars don't just have admissions team folks on it, but also current students and or alumni. So you can get multiple perspectives on what that aspect of the experience is like. I encourage you to contact a student ambassador. Diana will probably put a link in the chat box so that you can connect with someone who might be from where you're from or going into the career that you would like to go into in a club that you might be interested in. So connect with someone that really resonates with you. I maintain a blog, an admissions blog, where I track where we are in the process, give tips so that we're as transparent as we can be. And if people have questions, always happy to answer questions through the admissions blog. And then our students have this awesome podcast about what MBA life, specifically at Ross, is like. It's an award-winning podcast. It's called Business Beyond Usual. Again, you can access that through our website. Encourage you to find out what students think about the experience through their voices. So that concludes my official presentation, and now we're happy to open it up for your questions. And I'm going to have Diana Economy, our Director of Admissions, join me in answering the questions. There's Diana. Hello.
Hi, everyone. Good to see all of you. Thanks for joining us today.
Okay, so Shovik has fed us a question from Alec Liu. It says, can you speak to some of the corporate partnerships at Ross with financial companies? Maybe a quick example on recruitment and types of financial institutions would be great. So as a matter of fact, I just asked our career development director where our recent grads and our interns are working. And so I have the list. I'll mention the ones that I can remember off the top of my head. Financial institutions include Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, Citi, BlackRock. Diana, am I forgetting any more?
I think you've hit on them. One of the things to think about from a financial services perspective is to take a look first at our employment report. To your point, those are some of the companies that you're listing from currently, and that's for the class that just graduated. So that employment report won't come out for a few more months, but it's not that dissimilar from our 2019 employment report. We also have a webinar and an entire page dedicated to careers focused in finance. You may also want to take a look at the entrepreneurship VC one, depending on where your interests lie.
Okay. R. Alston is happy that Diana's on here today. I guess you met her at a New York City session. And then the previous comment, thank you for the shout out for the admissions blog. If you don't already read it, I'd encourage you to tune in if you're planning to apply to Michigan Ross, because I try to give away as much as I can. Next, from John Ho. Hello. For international students who have never been to Michigan previously, could you share your experience on the campus location? Sure. Ann Arbor is a great town. So we have about a third of our students are from outside of the US, and they come to love living in Ann Arbor, whether they come with families or by themselves. Some of the comments that they've shared with me is it feels very safe, very walkable, very accessible, very diverse, very student focused. What else would you say, Diana?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest misconceptions about Ann Arbor, I think people know big cities exist, and Ann Arbor is actually really great. It's got all the things you would expect in a big city, but in a very walkable, very livable area. And we've got great access to the outdoors. We've got all kinds of things. And importantly, we're only 20 minutes from a major international airport. What that means is we have an incredibly global and very diverse group, but it also means when flying is appropriate, and I realize that right now times are a little bit different, but it is very easy to get in and out of Ann Arbor. And I would also say geographically, one of the questions that we get is if I come to Ann Arbor, am I going to be at all restricted with my geographic opportunities after? And the answer to that is absolutely not. We have students and alums all over the world. You can pick where you want to go after geographically. The most students that we get are from New York every year, but there's always a mix. And so wherever you're interested in going, Michigan Ross can help you get there.
Okay. Grace says, were any of the internships affected by COVID-19? If so, how was Ross able to help those students? Thanks for teeing that up, Grace. So yes, internships were affected. All of them are remote, as far as I know. Some of them got pushed back in terms of their start dates. Some of the consulting firms actually said, don't come in person, but we will give you a full-time offer even before we've gotten to work with you. And so companies are really adapting. They understand the challenges of the times. They're facing the same challenges that the business schools are. The thing that we're excited about in terms of how Ross is helping students is that we started this, I forgot exactly what it's called, the Business Consulting Corps, where students whose internships may have been canceled due to COVID were able to apply to get funding through Ross to do consulting projects that are hosted by some of our alumni. So they get a stipend to basically do like another map project sponsored by our alumni and still be able to gain experience, have something to put on their resume, and get some money as well. Okay, Tejas says, since so many specializations rank top 10, what would Ross say its one leading domain in post-employment figures and faculty? One leading domain in post-employment figures and faculty quality? I'm not sure that I quite understand that question, but in terms of post-employment, where our graduates go, tech firms, consulting firms make up about 2/3 of where our graduates go. And in terms of our faculty, we're ranked in the top 10 in 10 specializations because we have great faculty across the wide range of business specializations. Rajat says, hello, Michigan Ross team. Thanks for having this session. Could you speak a bit more about Impact Studio and how it has helped students land a role in tech giants post a Ross MBA? So Rajat, actually, the Impact Studio is brand new. It was just developed, created, the space was created last year. So students are just starting to participate in it now. In terms of impact, though, they are having actual impact because they're working on real projects. I mentioned the Flint water crisis project. They are going to have great sound bites or bullet points to put on their resume. They're going to learn design thinking. They're going to work with faculty on their direct research. So they're going to gain great experience. But as far as where they go, whether it's tech, they're going to have great skills for tech. Diana, do you want to add?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, tech is huge. And I think people ask, like, how do I develop the skill set that it's needed to be attractive for tech? What I'll tell you is you're going to get analytics experience across the board, whether you're focused on marketing, whether you're focused on strategy, or wherever you're doing across the board. The Impact Studio is a good experience to be able to understand how to apply those skills to a social focused problem. But from a tech perspective, what we hear from companies is that they really appreciate the hands-on learning experience that you get at Michigan Ross. So if you think about the MAP project and you're starting a project and it is a project that you get to rank, it might be in a new focus area or industry or function, it's going to give you a chance to work in a new environment, and you're going to have to be adaptable. You're going to have to figure out how to add value in that environment. And that's what the tech firms want, not just tech, frankly, other recruiters as well, but tech in particular really values Michigan Ross students because hands-on learning requires you to try what you're learning in school, and then you can apply that when you go into your role in tech. So this is a really, really good platform for tech.
Great. Montas asks, can you speak to the interplay between Ross and the Sanger Leadership Center? Absolutely. So Sanger is one of our many centers within Ross, and it has programming that students can opt into and also works with the full-time MBA program on orientation and other significant experiences throughout your 2 years. So they are the host of things like the Leadership Crisis Challenge that students can opt into. Story Lab, where students get to learn how to tell a story on stage, a very personal story, and get coaching to develop that story and to present that story in a TED style talk. They also have the Ross Leaders Academy, where students are getting coached on how to become leaders and coaches themselves. So these are the types of opportunities that you can opt into throughout your 2 years. Diana, you want to add to that?
No, I mean, this is an incredible differentiator to the full-time experience. You're really going to grow in so many different ways, and leadership skill is very high up on all of our students' lists. And so there's tons of programming, whether from the Sanger Leadership Center or through the student clubs and organizations that you're a part of. Weekly, you will be furthering your leadership skills.
So I'm working very closely right now with the faculty director of the Sanger Leadership Center to incorporate leadership development at orientation, which is going to begin at the end of August. The approach that we're going to take is, how do you develop yourself as an individual? How do you develop yourself as someone who works on teams? And how do you develop yourself as someone who leads organizations? So there are going to be 3 parts to just the orientation part of leadership development. And there's so many other things that you can be able to do beyond. Towards the end of the MBA program, you can also do something called Legacy Lab, where before you leave the MBA program, you think about what kind of legacy do you want to have on the organizations that you're involved in. So lots of great ways to learn about leadership at your fingertips. So Alta Mash says, at Soojin, from your time at Yale, Harvard, and Michigan, which place did you like better? Michigan, hands down. And I don't care if any of my classmates from Yale and Harvard are listening. Here's the difference. My classmates at Michigan have so much passion, and they're really accessible. I have found when I was looking for jobs after my Yale degree, after my Harvard degree, that the support network, the alumni network, was not really as responsive as Michigan alums have been. And so that is something that I think is really valuable. It's the Ivy League is great, don't get me wrong, but there's something about passion and people being there for you and being excited about their community. Like, we're so happy to put on our Michigan gear. Diana's entire wardrobe is Michigan gear. I don't know if I own any Yale or Harvard gear. It's just not something that has school spirit. So if that's something that's important to you, this is such a great place to come. Varun says, with a Ross is a top marketing program, what typical marketing roles, companies do students find themselves recruiting for, potentially outside of CPG roles? Well, some of the things that our alums have done, they work at L'Oreal, they work at Nike, they work at, where else, Diana?
Tech, yeah, all the tech firms. I would say tech marketing is probably, if not the most popular right now. Ross's marketing faculty are super highly ranked. There's lots of opportunities in marketing. We actually have a lab where you can practice Nielsen point of sales data, social media tools and such, depending on the type of marketing you want to go into. And there's a very, very popular marketing analytics course that's actually called marketing engineering, a little bit of a wonky name, but great content from the leader of our marketing department. And there's lots of opportunities. Lots of companies are looking to hire marketing talent from Ross.
Okay, Cesar says, what are the main differences between an online MBA and a full-time MBA? Some big important differences. So an online MBA, students are most likely still working. Many of the courses are, many to most are asynchronous. Asynchronous. They're recorded. So being live isn't as important as for the full-time MBA program. The way classes are delivered, obviously, are going to be very different. How you're going to engage is going to be very different. How close of a network that you're going to have is going to be very different. Right?
Yeah, I think an important piece, too, is our online MBA is only available for students who do not need a visa to study in the U.S. Because students come to Ann Arbor for a few different residencies that are part of the online MBA experience, whether they're focused on entrepreneurship, leadership, or hands-on learning. You'd come to Ann Arbor a little bit. One of the things I think I would think about between online and full-time MBA is really more the difference between part-time and full-time. And an online MBA or any kind of part-time MBA, you and your classmates will be working for, at a minimum, 40 to 50 hours a week normal, and then you're doing class on top of that typically. With the full-time MBA, that 40 or 50 hours a week is spent with classmates in extracurricular experiences, leadership experiences in the classroom. So you just get more hours as part of the experience to grow and develop in a full-time MBA.
Right. As Diana mentioned, you can't really join clubs and participate in the speakers and the different workshops that happen outside of class if you're in an online MBA program. You could opt in, but if you're working full-time, that's really hard to participate in. So Kat, thank you for the shout out for the blog. We enjoy writing it, kind of. We enjoy being very transparent and sharing what's exciting about Ross. My team often has to hold that stick and say, Soojin, it's time for another blog. But can you speak to students about applying from non-traditional backgrounds? For example, not finance or consulting? Absolutely. So I came from a non-traditional background myself. I worked for the federal government. I was a policy wonk. I had no finance or consulting experience. I knew how to manage budgets. I knew how to write speeches. I knew how to work on teams. But I had no idea about accounting or finance or anything like that. And that's actually very similar to the backgrounds of a lot of our MBA students. More and more, we're seeing that non-traditional candidates are becoming the traditional candidates, actually. Very little business background, and that is not that's not a disadvantage in our application process because we're looking to create a very diverse class made up of diverse professional experience as one of the dimensions. And it's our responsibility to teach you how to do business. That's what you're coming to business school for. So if you already know how to do it, the gains that you're going to have aren't going to be as great. So business school, I think, is the best graduate degree that anyone can have because it opens the door to so many career options, so many industries, functions that no other graduate degree can give you. All of the other ones are so narrow that you're only going to be able to do one or maybe two things, but you're going to be able to pivot throughout your career with an MBA.
I would even go as far to say, Soojin, that Michigan Ross is an exceptional place for people who come from a non-traditional background, just because we do so much to help you prepare for the academic experience, the career experience. I mean, we're doing a ton right now for people who are looking to start this fall, just to get them ready and up to speed. And nearly 90% of our students are career switchers, so they're switching either function or industry. A lot of people will point to MAP as one of the big benefits of having a full 7-week MAP project. And then usually internships are typically 10 to 12 weeks. So a full second internship that you can speak to a future employer about. Like Soojin, I was non-traditional as well. I actually ended up focusing on the intersection of education and business and had an internship opening up a charter school in Detroit. So lots and lots of opportunity for you to follow your passions at Michigan Ross, and great place for career switchers and non-traditional alike.
And Souvik just also mentioned that he's a non-traditional student too. And he's working at, Souvik, is it Amazon or Microsoft? I can't remember. Career switcher, non-traditional. I like this handle, Crypto Knight. Would you please speak a little bit about Ross women involvement in the Forte Foundation? Also, how many fellowships are offered to incoming women, and what's the level of tuition fee support provided? So Ross is very involved with the Forte Foundation. We've been involved since the beginning. In fact, we were one of the founding members. How many fellowships are offered? Every year it has grown. I think, Diana, is it 30, 40?
No, it's even more. This is the most ever that we've ever awarded this year through the to Forte Fellows, and we're proud to have such a great community of women to be able to select from. The Forte Foundation, of course, isn't the only way that which give out scholarships. There's lots of ways to do that, and what you need to do is put forward a great application in order to be competitive. But we're proud to be a member of the Forte Foundation itself.
And the scholarships range from $20,000 on up to full tuition, and those scholarships come from the schools, not necessarily from Forte. But we designate women as Forte Fellows. They're part of a special community that attend the Forte conference and are part of the women's community. So Ty,
shout out to Ty. Thanks. Education and business. This is a great place to go for social impact. I would say it's almost a common theme that you'll experience amongst our students in terms of their passion to change the world through business. And it's awesome for us to see it as an admissions team, the different ways people bring those passions to bear in the experience.
Surya says, would you please speak about how Ross can help people enter into the semiconductor
industry?
As a product manager.
I would say talk to our student ambassadors to see if when you go through, we have almost 200 student ambassadors listed on our webpage. And when you go to the student ambassador page, you can filter by a variety of things, where they're from, their backgrounds, their interests. And honestly, if you do nothing other than read the bios of our student ambassadors, you will get a very good idea of who's at Ross. But you may come across it and say, hey, this person's interested in the semiconductor industry like I am. Let me chat with them and learn a little bit more from their perspective.
So Souvik has named some of the companies that people have gone to, Ross alums. Next question from Dina. What's unique in entrepreneurship opportunities in comparison to STEM MBA to a normal one? Well, the STEM specialization will be starting this year. So we don't have examples of what STEM certified grads have done yet. I guess we're going to the next question from Francis. What are the resources and experiences that you took advantage of during your time at Ross? Well, Diana's a lot more recent than I am, so I'll let Diana, but she's already, 10 years out herself?
Yeah. This is another really great opportunity for you to connect with our student ambassadors. So here's what you should do. When you reach out to our student ambassadors, ask every single one of them about their MAP project, and ask every single one of them about what other hands-on learning experiences they've had, and ask every single one of them about the career preparation as well as the classes. I mean, I think they're all going to speak to you about those things, but I think what you'll find is one of the things we haven't talked as much about is just how strong our career preparation is. On a weekly basis, you are going to be meeting with, it could be a professional from our career office. It's definitely going to be what we call our FACT group, Functional Accountability Career Team. So think about this as a group of maybe 6 to 8 peers, a group that's led by an MBA 2 that was successful in tech or consulting or whatever you're recruiting for, and they're going to help walk you through the equivalent of a curriculum that is designed to help you prepare to recruit for the job that you are looking to get. Our students speak very highly of that experience, as well as the experience of our consulting club, our tech club, marketing, and more. this whole ecosystem is very, very strong in helping you to get where you need to go. So students will be happy to talk to you about those things.
So that relates to the question that's asked here. How do we have such a good percentage of people hired into investment banking being further away than some of the other schools from the major banking hubs? It is because of the career support that we get. The Finance Club has this very intense training program. Our alumni dedicate a lot of time to supporting our students in getting up to speed on how to talk the language of finance. Our professors help students find resources as well.
Yeah, our investment banking hit rate is incredible. All the bulge bracket banks, for the most part, recruit at Ross. We've got people across the board. Yes, people fly out to New York every once in a while, but actually the expectations of the banks from people in Ann Arbor is that you don't have to be at their doorstep every day. And we'll see what recruiting looks like for banking in the fall anyways with COVID. But very, very strong hit rate. Again, talk to our students. You'll hear the same thing. Very strong preparation for banking.
So I think we're almost out of time. This is going to be the last question. This is a good one. I apologize. I'm a little unnerved by the echo. Does this mean that MAP is geared towards consulting because it's a part of our Real Advise program? Could you please shed some light on how MAP works for tech? So on a macro level, MAP is a consulting project. But when you look at the projects, they vary by function and by industry. And so we have a lot of projects, probably the majority of our projects are related to tech. So some of the projects that I mentioned, it's Bank of America, even though it was in the financial industry, it was a tech project. It's an AI project. A lot of the tech firms sponsor projects, Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, Microsoft, Amazon, they're all repeat sponsors for MAP. A lot of our even our CPG type projects could have a tech component to it. So depending on what your functional interest is, there's going to be projects that are associated with that function. You may be interested in finance. Well, the Bank of America project that I just talked about, it wasn't actually a finance related project, even though it's in the finance industry. So you get to review the list of 100+ projects and decide, well, what kind of things do I want to learn in my 7 weeks? What do I want to work on? So while it is consulting as a project, the focus of the project could be anything.
Soojin, I'm really excited to get to know all these folks through the admissions season.
Me too.
We've got like so many awesome events. I know that things are online. I actually think that is a huge benefit for you. So now you don't have to be at a particular event on a particular day when we're in your city. This gives you much more broad access, as well as we mentioned, the over 200 student ambassadors that we have on our webpage. We do have some admissions chats coming up where we'll be, talking a little bit more about your application, how to put forward a great application. We'll have some sessions where you can ask our students things, whether it's what's life like if I have a partner or children to, what's life like if I'm from this particular part of the world. So we can't wait to get to know you throughout this process. Please feel free to be in touch and go blue.
And let me add that one of the criteria that I think you should use in selecting schools to apply to is how responsive and how excited is our community. Not just the students, but look at their admissions staff too. I mean, that's going to give you a sense for how excited they are about the brand, the resources that they're representing. And ask hard questions of every admissions officer, every student, every alum. Ask those same questions across all schools so you can compare your data points. I'm really excited that you're about to start this process. I know it's kind of a stressful time in the world right now, but it's still a great time to get an MBA because you're going to be advancing your career opportunities. Nothing can do that as much as an MBA can. So good luck. We can't wait to meet you, and go blue.
Go blue.
Bye.